Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. Yeah, we're back at it again. For the full episode, we're doing the whole bloody shenan here. Business out of the way. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and do all that kind of stuff. If you're on YouTube and if you're on any place where podcasts are a place, then leave us a review, because you can't do all the rest of that stuff that we normally ask you to do. Getting right into the biz of it. Also, I hope you guys liked the last episode, and if you didn't get a chance to watch it, check that out. It was an interview. The last, full-length episode.
Yeah.
It was our interview. It was super fun, and we look forward to doing more stuff like that. So, yeah. Oh, and also, this is going to have a bunch of... This episode's going to have a bunch of pronunciations.
Ooh, yeah.
Pronounce and I-chime.
Yeah, I'm going to...
and it is going to be not great.
Yeah, I'm going to... throw out that disclamer. I have done my best with trying to figure out the pronunciations.
Slaughter
and I'm
the pronunciations.
Just gonna...
Yeah.
I'm
dreadful place.
Yeah.
Dreadful place. It's all right, though. We're going to try, and if we say it wrong, correct us in the comments below, because all engagement is good engagement, and your hate fuels me.
Yeah, please send help.
Your hate fuels all of us.
Send help.
Send help. But, yeah, so we're just going to get right into it with this. I introduced us, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, well, you know who we are, and if you don't, I'm John, that's Julie. Bada bing, bada boom. Man, dude, we've been at this for a whole 2 minutes, and I've already forgot what happened 2 minutes ago.
It
happens. It's fine. So this week's episode is, why is the Celtic pantheon no make sense?
Yeah, so I know that's kind of a weird title.
Why the Celtic pantheon doesn't make sense. I had to say that in the weirdest way possible on the fly. And honestly, I mean, as a person who is directly involved in the Scottish games in our region, this is why. And I'm just going to gesture for everything, and that obviously makes sense. So
yeah.
Small island, 80 billion different people. So
well, it's beyond that. So I'm going to start this out by kind of telling you guys what happened. In our last pub chat, we talked about how I had a really hard time doing research for a particular episode. So this is not the episode that I set out to make, but here we are. And it's kind of difficult because I was going to do a Celtic family tree, because once a year we do like a family tree episode. We talk about the different deities and kind of just do a brief boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, we've done the Olympians, we've done the
Norse,
like mostly Esotro, but like a little bit of the Vanir.
Yeah. So
Aesir and a little bit of the Vanir.
So I set out to do that, and then I started to do the research, and I was like, oh no, this is a lot more intense than I expected. And I was like, you know what, that's fine. It'll just be a longer episode. We'll talk about more things. And then I was like, oh no, oh boy, none of this makes sense. I cannot do this in good faith.
You know how like in New Star Trek, how the nacelles sometimes are not attached to the ship? Sometimes these branches are not attached to the tree. And so you would think that isn't how branches work. But apparently that's how branches work. Also, sometimes branches are snakes, and sometimes snakes eat their own tails. So it's best that we not think too deeply about
completely different trees.
Yeah. So, sometimes that branch actually from that tree. We don't know how that branch got here, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's called grafting. So it's no secret that within a religion, within a region, certain deities may be worshipped more or less or syncretized under different names. We've actually talked about this quite a bit. We talked about this
with everything.
With a bunch of different things.
It's not even a special thing. Syncretization. Syncretization. Yeah, that's the right way to say that. Syncretization is everywhere all the time?
Yeah. So that's no secret, but the quote-unquote Celtic pantheon, as we popularly know it, is actually just a mishmash of deities, cherry-picked from a variety of different locations, and some with very different belief structures and systems. Yeah. So I have decided that we are not doing a family tree because it is sort of disingenuous to those sort of home things. It would really be like lumping Greek and Roman together. Aphrodite is not the same goddess as Venus. They are
same person. Yeah,
they
same
were
person.
syncretized at
one
a
of them's a
certain
planet,
point.
one of them's a lady. Exact same thing, no difference.
No.
Yeah. 100%.
Also, same idea with
Mars carries a sword.
Saturn and Kronos. We got a lot, and that's just the Greek and Roman
Uranus
stuff,
is
right?
a bunch of fifth grade butt jokes. It's all the same thing.
Yeah. So, or it's
or it's not.
So it's like lumping Greek and Roman deities together, or like all Native American deities together.
Oh my God, that's
because
the
they're in the
worst one.
same but
Yeah.
incredibly large region.
Yeah.
And
Well, looking at you, Hollywood.
yeah. Yeah.
It's not the same people.
I want to do justice to the pantheon, that the pantheons individually that the quote unquote Celtic pantheon sort of pulls its deities from.
Yeah.
So
well, I think that when you modernly think of the word Celtic pantheon, you're kind of thinking about it as like in the like popular 10 plus some shit that was said in the 60s that kind of like permanently altered our ability to perceive reality.
yeah.
So, and I mean, like literally just like looking at, cause I don't participate in the research for this stuff. I don't do that. That's not my thing. I just know a little bit about everything all the time, everywhere. It's awful.
Trust me, it is.
It is. It's chaos. But just looking at this, like I can already, and like through personal research that I've done, like in my life over decades, like yeah, there's no way that you could do like a Tuatha De Danann family tree,
and will.
And honestly, even that would be like a bit randy. But
yeah.
like. Yeah, there's so much there. You know?
Yeah.
There's so much differentiation.
I'm going to use the sort of Wikipedia definition of the Celtic thing here. And I'm not giving you the definition for the Celts from Wikipedia, right?
What from those 15 islands?
When you look on Wikipedia, they're like, oh, are you looking for Celtic deities? You might be looking from deities that are Gaelic in nature. That's Ireland and parts of Western Scotland. That's where we have the Tuatha De Danann, we have the Fomorians, and gods that we have there is the Dagda, somebody we've done a deep dive on, Danu, Lugh, the namesake of Lunasa, Angus, the Cailleach, Brigid, who is very much associated with Imbolc, the Morrigan, Macha, Nemain, Iriu, Balor, MacMahon, MacLear, Ogma, Nuada, and Neat. There are others, but those are the big ones. Then there's also sort of like this cross-section of things that are demigods, but also historical figures, but also kind of gods, but also
we gotta remember,
real
kings
people
were directly related to gods for a lot of shit. So sometimes you're like, that guy's a king, but also maybe God?
And also the difference between ancestor worship and stuff, it gets very complicated.
Sure.
Also, Med or Maeve is a figure from the Gaelic sort of pantheon, and so is Cuchulainn. And that's just the Gaelic. You might also be looking at Gaulish, which is sourced from the areas of France and Belgium and Switzerland, parts of Germany, Luxembourg, northern Italy, and parts of Britain. And from there, we get Cernunnos, and we get Epona, and we get Tyrannus, among others. We might also be looking at the Iberian sort of pantheon, which is in the Iberian Peninsula, which is like a fancy way of saying Spain. And from there...
It's a very fancy Spain right there.
From there, we have a lot of ones that have been syncretized, or the names have been changed slightly, like Epane is basically the same thing as Epona, but also not really. And Lugus is very similar to Lugh. And there's also Brythonic, which is Western Britain, and from there we get a lot of things that we generally consider to be Avalonian in nature. Arianrod and Cerwydden, Modron, Rhiannon, Gwyden, and Mebon. The namesake of Mebon.
The person holiday.
Yeah. So that's a lot of names. It's a lot of word soup happening there. And there's some like very, very different ways that the belief structure for these works going to others. And there's much that goes into it.
It depends on sort of like which deities are you putting into your pantheon of Celtic deities. And sort of like, how is that all going to work out? So again, you got to look at it like, so like standard Celtic is like Gaelic and
with like a little bit of everything else.
And a little bit of everything else, right? It's like spatially speaking, it's like England, Scotland, Wales, but then like a little bit and Ireland, but then like more Ireland, but then also like a little bit of like continental Europe, like as far south as Spain, which is like mad far away. Not for us Californians where everything is 8 hours away, but like for back then away, that is like a tremendous and profoundly different people. But like also if I'm like, this lady's got rain, and you're like, this lady also got rain, and I'm like, these names are kind of similar, maybe same lady, right? So
yeah.
You know, again, that's that thing where, like, shit just sort of correlates.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about sort of the pop culture Celtic pantheon.
Yeah.
Pop
culture pantheon.
And I have sort of
that should be its
picked.
own graphic. I might not do this, so... If there's no graphic, you can just look at my body, move around silly, and if there is, rock and roll.
But also...
pop culture pantheon.
But also you might.
I might. We never know what I'm going to remember and not remember to do at any moment in time.
Or feel like doing as a graphic. I never know.
That's fair, yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to be talking about the pop culture Celtic pantheon.
Look at you, spoilers.
And that's really just me sort of cherry-picking things that I see come up a lot in the witchy and pagan and heathen sort of circles.
The hashtag witch talk, Wikipedia, like American Horror Story, like Celtic pantheon.
Yeah.
You know, like when you say Celtic pantheon to an executive producer of a TV show, what is he talking about? Those are the ones that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they all from the same place? Maybe not, but that's okay. The 60s were a weird time, and we're all still recovering. So,
and
rock and
for
roll.
Those of you that are a little disappointed that we're not getting a deep dive on a specific sort of aspect there,
don't
there
worry.
are plans.
We will. On all of them.
On all of them.
From everywhere.
Yeah.
But if you want one specifically, leave a comment below or leave us a review or hit us up on whatever. Go to nerdjive.com. We have a website and there's like a form there and you can send us like an email or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something specific, we always try and like when we have somebody request a topic, we always try and like bump that up the rank and file. Just to kind of like you know, like help somebody out.
Yeah, because we want to know what y'all are interested in.
We generally always find like very fascinating information whenever we're doing it for like a person or whatever.
Yeah.
So so you can do that way, or like hit us up on social media. All the links and shit of that are in the comments below or in the description below if you're on YouTube or wherever the details part in a podcast network is, because it's different for each one. So it's in all directions from us currently.
But also no directions at all.
Yeah, well, one thing is everything and everything is one thing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're not doing that right now. And it's going to be a long podcast when we do. Popular pantheon, Celtic pantheons. Yeah, in my mind, the graphic is like guitars and like pop culture and like movie screens.
We just watched a thing about Mad Max Fury Road, and every time that you've done that, I have thought about the guy on the back of that car, like rocking
Only
out,
when
doing it.
I'm saying that. Listen, that dude on the blind guitar flamethrower man from Mad Max Fury Road, very, very broad aside here, lives full ass rent-free in my head every single moment of the day. There's just like, it's that guy playing the entire soundtrack from the 2016 Doom video game almost constantly in my head. The other day, I was doing dishes in the kitchen, listening to the audiobook that I'm listening to actively in the kitchen, and Julie came home, and the living room, which is just connected to the kitchen, it's not that much of a different room, has the Doom soundtrack playing at like 47 of 10. So loud, because that's just the way that I live my life. It's just metal Doom Slayer music in the background 100% of the time. Yeah. So yeah, that guy lives rent free in my head literally since that movie came out. Thank you, whoever came up with that idea, because that shit's forever now. Yeah. He's just the blind god of metal, rocking everybody's socks 100% of the way off. The transcended form of Jack Black, if you will. So yeah, whatever. Anyway. What the
So
fuck are we talking
anyway,
about?
let's get started. So first, we're going to talk about the Dagda. And typically, when we speak of him, we do put "the" in front of it because Dagda is like a name and a title. He is the god associated.
Ancient Irish for king?
I believe so.
I think.
We have a whole Dagda
We have
deep
like a whole
dive
Dagda
that you
deep
can
dive,
listen
so
to.
that's not like in
Yeah.
this, but check that out if you want more information on that. But I'm pretty certain Dagda is like old Irish for king.
Yeah, yeah.
So
he is the god of abundance, agriculture, fertility, magic, music, strength and masculinity, protection, life and death. He's also patron god of the Druids, and he is the king of the Tuatha De Danann. He comes from the Gaelic pantheon, which again is Ireland and parts of Western Scotland. And
the Irish parts of Scotland.
yeah,
I'm not going to do that every time. I'm sorry, but the Scottish, no.
you definitely are.
Right.
He is often described as a giant or large bearded man wearing a hooded cloak. Comically, he is sometimes described as wearing a tunic so short it would barely cover his butt and dragging his huge dong on the ground as he walked. We talk about this a lot in the Dagda deep dive.
Fit, guys.
And
Can we talk
think
about booty hanging out ass,
is-
big cloak energy? Because big cloak energy, write that down.
It's
Great
just-
name.
yeah.
Big cloak energy. I'm here for.
He's just
100%.
like shirt dicking
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you
we
gotta
talk about
shirt
this a
dick.
lot in the deep dive, but like this seems to be most likely like a weird Christian smear campaign from around the year 800 to make him
Christians are weird
to
about
try to make
super
him
hot
look
guys.
like a buffoon.
Yeah, they're like, he's so hot. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, look at this buffoon with that big old dong. Said nobody fucking ever.
Well, no,
right?
no. I mean, yes, because off topic, the ancient Greeks
I think it's still on topic. Don't worry.
sort of thought that the bigger the dick, the less brain you had.
Yeah. The
So-
ancient Greeks were like, a studious and good man is small of dong, and these like brute idiots are like the big dong motherfuckers. So yeah, I could see where that's like.
Yeah.
Sort
and
of
the time
normalized.
frame that this
I'm just
smear
saying.
campaign would have been happening would
Nowadays,
be
that shit wouldn't
in
work.
the late empire, basically there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Weird Christian smear campaigns. It's all right, man. Y'all are trying.
yeah. So correspondences for the Dagda are cows, the colors red and green, moss agate, cedar, oak, and also porridge. Lots of porridge. That was his favorite food. So make some porridge.
Yeah.
And also whiskey. And also cauldrons, harps, staffs, and clubs. The Dagda is really like a well-rounded guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very pro Dagda. I'm here for all of the energy that Dagda brings.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Definitely,
that,
definitely check
deep
out our
dive.
Dagda deep dive.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain we had a whole bloody riff about dragging his dong energy. So
Oh,
that's
I'm
fine.
sure we did.
Big
That's-
cloak energy, guys. Big cloak energy.
That would be interesting to go back and listen to because that was probably like at least a year ago now.
Yeah.
So that's the Dagda. There'll be links in the description to go to that deep dive episode below if you go to our
as
YouTube
well
channel.
as so like obviously all of this this is lists of lists, right? So for each one of these episodes, we make a Book of Shadows page, which is available on our Patreon. So if you support us over on Patreon, you get access to these Book of Shadows pages, and that'll have all of the detailed lists, all the bits, all the correspondences that we don't have time to say. So this isn't a 12-year long video, 12 years YouTube video. So you can go there to get those lists. We are almost caught up, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only have two more to be fully up to date, and those I'm halfway done with as it currently stands.
And then we have a few things to go back and flesh out for season 1.
Oh my
and
god,
then
the
after
season
that,
1 stuff is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, and for both of us.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're probably going to be putting out a little zine about it. Yeah, a little book.
Yeah. We'll be making some Book of Shadows books, like a proper publication once we get to the right number of pages. I have them all printed out in a folder. This is again an aside. You'll get used to them. I have them all printed out in a book, with a slidey clear pages, paper thingies, and it's nice. It's real nice.
Yeah.
So look forward to that being a thing that exists at some point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on is Danu. She is also a Tuatha De Danann. She is seen as a mother and earth goddess associated with wisdom and inspiration, earth and water magic, transformation, support, and new beginnings. She, being a Tuatha De Danann, also comes from the Gaelic pantheon, which is Ireland and parts of western Scotland. Correspondences for Danu are blue, white, silver, green, mares, specifically snakes, salmon.
Mares like the lady horses?
Yes, like the lady horses, specifically mares.
You said blue, white, silver, green, and mares, and I was like, I don't know that that's a color that I know. And I do color for a living, so that's fucking concerning.
Also,
but lady horses.
Yeah, lady horses specifically.
Yeah.
Also, any
What's
river
up, Loki's
stone.
doing all right too.
Yeah, or stones with a hole in it.
Like a witch's stone.
Yeah,
as it's called. Yeah.
Also, the moon and cauldrons.
Wasn't the Dagda also cauldrons?
Yes.
Everybody's real pro cauldrons.
I get it. Cauldrons are
dope.
Also, you use them to make food, and I'm pretty into that.
Yeah, that's super fire. Fire. I watched this thing. Small aside on cauldrons. Not recently, but a while ago, I watched this thing about like a cauldron shop in the UK, and they were like, "Oh, they're doing like a sale," and they had all the cauldrons like out, like in front of the shop to buy, and it was just like this like brief. It was part of like a larger like tour of places in the UK, and they showed all these cauldrons, and I was just like, we don't have any of those here. We don't have no cauldrons out here. If somebody knows a good cauldron place, hit me up. Let me know. I'd be interested in more cauldrons.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you what, a tiny cauldron for your altar on the Sadazon is too expensive.
But also, like, it would be
and
really
not a
cool
good
to have
quality.
big
And I would
cauldron.
love to buy like a proper cauldron. You know?
Yeah, like a big one.
Like a big old cauldron.
Make a stew in it.
Doing cauldron stuff.
Decorate the house like cookies. Lure some children in.
That's too much work.
Oh, she puts them in an oven. That doesn't make sense.
No, our oven is not big enough for that. Our oven is
not big enough for that.
No. And also loud, so.
And also,
shut that down.
I don't really care to eat children.
No.
That's fine.
No. Could we lure in steak?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Just like a little steak with
if somebody
legs.
knows a steak luring cauldron, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm here for that. Or honestly, more important than steak to me, beer. If we can lure in cans of IPA, you got a business forever, guys. I'm just saying.
It's like Cuphead. We've been watching
We've been watching a Let's Play of
Cuphead,
which is just a diabolical game. I've played Cuphead. I have not completed Cuphead, and that game is where you go to remember that you're not a good gamer.
Oh boy, yeah.
It is a brutal game.
Yeah.
Like truly brutal. But yeah, anyway, so if we can get a cauldron that lures in wild beers, yeah. Let's do that, guys. Yeah. Or brewers, whatever, man.
Yeah, but then we gotta feed them, and it would be so
You gotta
much
feed
easier
them
to
beer.
just
Listen, I've made beer. Brewers only need beer to survive.
That's accurate. So
Yes,
next
that
on the
is.
list is Lugh, the patron god of Lughnasadh, as well as the Druids. He is also a Tuatha De Danann, and he is known as the Ildanach, which means many linked skills. He is the god of skills. That is like sort of like physical crafting skills, especially in multiple disciplines, like blacksmithing and leatherworking, for instance.
Excel and Word and PowerPoint and Outlook.
Microsoft Suite. He's also the patron
Sweet
god
bastards.
of the arts and oaths and law and harvest, which is probably why he was chosen to be the patron god of Lughnasadh, which otherwise it kind of doesn't really make sense. He is from the Gaelic pantheon.
Fair. Yeah.
Which is Ireland and parts of Western Scotland. And he often appears as an attractive young man with an athletic build. He is graceful and strong and usually appears with blonde or red curly hair, carrying an unstoppable fiery spear, a sling stone, and travels with a hound. He is also the creator of...
You mean a sling and stone?
No, a
or
sling
just a rock?
stone. I believe it's a rock and a sling. It's like a companion.
Sling and stone.
Yeah, you know what?
Everything I saw
hey, said slingstone.
Hey
so
guys,
maybe it's just a rock.
This kid's into marbles. I'm okay with that. I loved marbles as a youth.
Oh, maybe he is into marbles.
Yeah,
maybe
I loved marbles as a youth. Pogs were not as hot as marbles. I mean, like, I like pogs, but not as fun as marbles. If you're old enough to be a part of this conversation. Because honestly, I might be the only one.
Yeah, well, he's also the creator of Fidchel, which is a game, other ball-based games.
Ball-based games.
So marbles. Sure. And horse racing, not marbles.
Maybe marbles. Yeah.
One interesting
Is it the one with the basketball
thing...
where you're trying to, like, make it in and get a letter?
Maybe.
Horse racing?
Yeah, that's
Racing
Lugh.
to horse?
He did that.
Yeah, he did that
to you.
That's a ball-based game, so...
It is a ball-based game.
Technically works. Horses and balls. You're welcome.
Yeah, also maybe the soccer or the football.
Or the football.
Yeah. An interesting sort of aside for Lugh, because as I was researching this episode, I was like, I came across this bit of information and I had to share it. So Lugh's son, and maybe a second incarnation of Lugh, is Cuchulainn. And Cuchulainn is generally described as being young and slight of build, with no beard, and is often described as a dark man with dark hair, blonde hair, or tricolored hair, so blonde, red, and brown, usually having gray eyes, and he's generally considered pretty handsome. So, like, that description makes sense as being Lugh or, like, his son, but it's this quote that I had to share with you guys, because it was so wild that I had an obligation to share it with you. So here you go. And certainly the youth Cuchulainn mac Sualdame was handsome as he came to show his form to the armies. You would think he had 3 distinct heads of hair, brown at the base, blood red in the middle, and a crown of golden yellow.
Gotta frost those tips, dog.
It's the opposite.
Crown of golden yellow.
The crown is by your head.
But it says base.
I know, the long part.
Is the base, not the base where the hair comes out of?
Yeah, we're talking about the ends is the base.
Oh,
so,
I cancel this.
From
cancel
the
this.
head,
cancel this whole statement.
Yeah, you gotta frost.
No, the base should come at the base.
No, you gotta frost the tips.
head is the base.
No, you gotta frost the roots. That's what they're saying.
Frost the roots. Oh, that's fucking horrifying.
His hair was settled strikingly into 3 coils on the cleft at the back of his head. Each long, loose, flowing strand hung down in shining splendor over his shoulders. Deep gold and beautiful and fine as a thread of gold. 100 neat red gold curls shone darkly on his neck, and his head was covered with 100 crimson threads matted with gems. He had 4 dimples in each cheek. You take that in.
It's called a wound.
Yellow, green, crimson, and blue, and 7 bright pupils, eye jewels, in each kingly eye. Each foot had 7 toes, and each hand 7 fingers, the nails with the grip of a hawk's claw or a griffin's clench.
You know, they started off with saying that this dude was handsome, and then what they described was a fucking nightmare. After the hair, they're like, look at this guy, look how beautiful this guy is, he's so gorgeous, look at this gorgeous hair, and you're like, yes, I'm here for 100% of this description. And then they're like, also, his face is weird, and his eyes are weird, and his hands are like claws, but with way too many digits. And you're like, okay, I think that we lost the handsome thread, and we're right now hallucinating. Maybe a little bit of drugs were involved in this description. This description brought to you by the wrong drugs.
Well, it started pretty, like, normal, right?
Yeah.
He just, like, had, tricolored hair.
Sure.
And then it just went, like, off the rails.
Yeah. They're like, look at this guy. He's got such great hair. He's got all 3 of the available hairs. And you're like, yes. And they're like, and it's all curly and shit. And you're like, I'm here for this. And they're like, and he's got dimples. And you're like, yeah. And they're like, but 4 dimples and they're different colors. And you're like,
in each cheek.
All right. That's not normal, but maybe it's just gems, right? Maybe he bedazzled his cheeks. We all remember bedazzling.
Maybe he's got
right?
piercings.
Yeah, maybe it's piercings. So, all right, that's cool. And then they're like, also talons, and you're like, all right.
Nope. Also, 7 pupils in his eyes.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different thing entirely.
Yeah, and then 7 toes and claws.
Is this guy a spider? That was just picked on a little bit. Listen, spiders are often trickster gods. I'm just saying maybe this guy, Spider, pretended to not be a trickster god, pretended to be handsome. He was like, look how handsome I am, guys. And everybody was like, so handsome. And one guy was like, that dude looks like a spider, but I'll allow it. Look at his golden hair. Right?
Yeah.
Spider with such a beautiful wig looks like a regular dude. Because that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. It's I had to read this and had to share it with everyone.
That's such a bonkers description. They're like, he's got 7 of a bunch of stuff, but also talons. And you're like, yeah, that's everybody wants their fingernails and toenails to be talons. Isn't that the goal?
I mean, like, that was like a huge trend for like nails for a while, is like talon nails.
Well, Nosferatu, man. Sometimes you gotta Ferratu up. Or I guess Ferrat 7 up in this case. Yeah. And that's how the beverage 7-Up got its name.
All right. Moving on. We have Cernunnos, who is the horned god of fertility, nature, animals, and the underworld. He comes from the Gaulish pantheon, which again is France, Belgium, Switzerland, parts of Germany, Luxembourg, northern Italy, and parts of Britain.
You could just say Europe, bro.
But it's not all of Europe.
It's like most of Europe.
I mean, that's the problem with the Celtic pop culture pantheon in the first place.
Gaulish. From all the places, what with Gaul?
Yeah. So his colors are green and gold. I put green and gold in there twice, so like extra green and gold.
He's green and gold, but then also green and gold, guys.
Yeah. He's also associated with quartz, like clear quartz, rosemary and pine, acorns and oak leaves, and juniper, and any horned animal, or horns in general.
Sweet.
Yeah. We do plan on doing a deep dive on sort of horned deities in a bit. There's a lot to kind of unpack there, so that one is coming. I'm not sure when, but eventually.
Yeah. It's on the list.
Yeah. Next up is Angus, a Tuatha De Danann. He is the god of youth, love, and poetic inspiration. And he comes from the Gaelic pantheon, Ireland, and parts of Western Scotland. And he generally appears as a young man with blue eyes and golden hair. Yeah. A very nice and standard description. Yeah.
Regular amount of digits, untaloned, normal eyes, face less bejeweled.
Yeah. He is associated with the colors green and pink, also with swans and sapphires and jasmine and lavender, harps, strawberries, and birch. Yeah. Next up is the Cailleach, which is, again, one of those things where it's a title that pertains to a creature, but it's also a title, but it's also a name.
There's a dude and a title. Lady and a title.
Technically, it's a lady.
Thing and a title.
Yeah, so the Cailleach is an earth and creator goddess associated with weather, especially winter and storms. So her sort of realm all has to do with like winter and storms and wind and stuff like that. Yeah. She is from the Gaelic pantheon, so again, Ireland and parts of Western Scotland, and she generally appears as an old woman or a hag. And for correspondences for her, you're looking at ice and also corn dollies. There is a practice to make corn dollies that represent her, and you generally keep them in the home to ward off the, you're like, the Cailleach's already been here. Don't bring your winter in this place.
Yeah, reasonable.
Yeah.
Corn's not great at lifting fridges or other heavy accoutrement in your house, but good for keeping out the winter.
Yeah.
Because, a dolly is 2 things. Actually, a lot of people don't call them those anymore. They call them hand trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Did you grow up calling hand trucks dollies? Because I called it a dolly and still do to this day, because I refuse to accept that hand truck is somehow the right answer. Hand truck, more sounds. Dolly, less sounds. It's the same thing. I
always figured that was a regional thing.
Dolly or hand truck? That's an even better question.
Like pop and
Where
soda?
Are you from and what do you call those? Also,
Yeah.
is there another name for them? Is there like a third name for a hand truck or a dolly? You know what I'm talking about. Like you move fridge or like a washing machine or whatever the heck.
You got the thing with the wheels that helps.
The thing with the wheels with the like little L. Yeah. I've always called them dollies, but I've definitely ran into a bunch of, especially younger people, and by younger I mean like honestly anybody under the age of 50. They're just like, oh no, that's a hand truck, and I'm like, is it though? But you know, whatever. I'm 1,000, so
Yeah.
whatever that means. But I've always called it a dolly. That's just like what it is in my mind.
Random question of the day.
Yeah, random question of the day. What do you call? What do you call that thing?
Hand truck.
Hand truck, dolly, or some new shit. You call it pop? Yeah, you heard me.
All right, moving on. We've got Brigid, and we talked a lot about Brigid in our In Bulk 102 episode.
She got a whole Jones diary.
No, that's not the same person. She is associated with spring and livestock, arts and crafts, poetry, and quote unquote high things. So back in ye olde times, things like wisdom and spirituality and healing were sort of associated with like the higher arts. So Brigid is associated with sort of those things, and also blacksmithing, which is
we would not call those high things nowadays. High things are different things.
It's just one of those funny things that I saw taking notes that I had to keep.
High things are Cheetos. You know. So
and Mountain Dew and Taco Bell. And cookies. So she may have been portrayed as a triple deity because she has two sisters also named Brigid who were worshipped separately but also the same for healing and blacksmithing. Brigid is part of the Gaelic pantheon, so Ireland and Western Scotland again, and things associated with her are really the colors of Imbolc, so green, pink, white, red, yellow, bees and cows and owls, daffodils, tulips, and that is basically Brigid. Right. Yeah. Next is Mabon, the sort of namesake for the festival Mabon, and we talk about this, I believe, in Mabon 102 last year, that it kind of doesn't really make sense, and they just sort of chose a dude for this, and it doesn't necessarily make sense for him being a harvest deity. Like, sure, okay, but also why? Yeah. And Mabon is the god of sex and love, magic, and hunting and power.
Yeah, that's what he's harvesting. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but
yeah, he is associated with the Brythonic pantheon, which is essentially Western Britain, and his correspondences are, well, first of all, very difficult to obtain because everything that is correspondences for the god inevitably sort of pour into
circles back to the holiday.
So it's very difficult to find something that is specifically associated with him that is separate from the holiday. But based on what we know about him, I would think that correspondences similar to Dionysus and Apollo and Lugh would be appropriate. Of course, if you are interested in working with Mabon, spend some time meditating on that and sort of see what you think is right or what he tells you is really right for the situation. And the next is Med or Maeve, Queen of Connacht. She is a warrior queen and is looked at as sort of a sovereignty goddess. So she's another one of those sort of like, is she a demigod? Is she a historical figure? Yeah. Is she a goddess? Why not all of those? And she is really associated with female empowerment, ambition, sexuality, fertility, and she's sometimes linked with the Morrigan. She comes from the Gaelic pantheon, which is Ireland and parts of Western Scotland. She is technically a historical figure, so she is really a queen. Her appearance is fair-haired. She's a woman who is so beautiful that she robs men of 2/3 of their valor when they see her.
It's a concerning statement.
It is, and I am here for it.
It's also a very specific statement, suspiciously specific.
It is very
She's like, oh, specific. Hey, that lady just stole 2/3 of my valor. I think I know who that is. Okay.
I only have 1/3 of my valor
is
left
2/3
after
of
looking
valor?
upon her beautiful face.
Yeah.
There's not much out there for correspondences for her because most of the information we can see is her as like a historical figure when she's not attached to the sort of triple god deity situation club that that is the Morrigan, and but also like not the Morrigan. Like sometimes she's the Morrigan. The Morrigan is warrants its own entire separate show.
We don't have a full Morrigan episode, do we?
No, we do not.
Ooh, yeah, we got to do that.
So that is in the works.
The Morrigan.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
There's a lot there, very interesting stuff. So if you're looking to celebrate and work with Maeve or Med, you would really be looking at wolves and mead is...
Two favorite things, wolves and mead.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So the Morrigan... is next on the list. And the Morrigan is a Tuatha De Danann, the goddess of death and war and battle and prophecy, especially about battles or death in battles, but also magic and livestock and the fertility of the land. The Morrigan is considered a protector and guardian of their people, their interests, and their way of life. She's often considered a triple goddess, though this might actually be from Wicca, and also other deities that we've talked about here, and some that we will not talk about here, may also be parts of the Morrigan. It is a very complicated and complex thing.
Only muddied by the existence of the 60s in America.
Yeah. And also pop culture. So that's the Morrigan. The pantheon that the Morrigan hails from is the Gaelic, so Ireland and Western Scotland. The Morrigan's got a bunch of history with the Dagda. And the Morrigan often appears as a crow flying overhead. She may also show up wearing blood-stained clothes. The blood isn't hers. And also maybe in
clothes.
battle armor. Somebody else's blood clothes.
Other blood clothes.
Yeah.
Nice.
To work with her, correspondences are the colors red and black, also crows.
Yeah.
And because we are talking about the Morrigan, we also have to talk about some of the other deities associated with the Morrigan sometimes. And that's Babd, Tuatha De Danann, and often considered part of the Morrigan. She is considered the goddess of war, and causes fear and confusion in enemies, and may also be able to predict the outcome of battles or the death of important people. She is a shapeshifter, and sometimes she appears as a crow or as an ugly hag. And then there's also Matcha, not the drink, the person.
Just a cup of tea.
Yeah. She's also a Tuatha De Danann and considered part of the Morrigan or Morrigna, which is the plural there, and is a sovereignty goddess who personifies and protects her land and its inhabitants.
We gotta figure out this plural thing. The plural of Morrigan is Morrigna. Unacceptable. Yeah, unacceptable plurality.
I mean, talk to the...
Yeah, it's octopus, octopi, octopuses.
Octopode.
It's all again. Octopod. Ooh, boy. I'll accept octopus or octopuses or octopi, but octopode get 100% of the way out of here with that. Don't even care. I'll fight to the death on that
Shut
one.
that front door.
Yeah, shut that front door.
Yeah.
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 The Morrigna, unacceptable. I don't know why, but it triggers the octopode in me. I'm just like, no! Ah! It's just the triple Morrigan. Jesus. Make it less weird.
Now, Matcha is another one of those, like, is a deity, is a demigod, is it a historical figure? And the answer is all.
Why not all?
So she is usually portrayed as having long red hair and wearing an ornate brooch. She has more clothes also that she's wearing, but the brooch.
I like that the brooch is so ornate that you're like, she had hair and a brooch. And they're like, can you give me something else? And you're like, the hair was probably long. And they're like, cool. I guess we'll just paint that.
Yeah. And she is associated with the colors red and dark brown. She's also associated with horses and crows, and dark ale and beer. Yeah.
Sure.
Next, and the final one that we're going to talk about, the final part of the Morrigna that we are going to choose.
The final leaf of the triple Morrigan.
Yeah. The final feather is Nemain. She is also a Tuatha De Danann and personifies the frenzy and chaos of war as well as panic. And she's associated with red. Yeah, and it was also part of the Morrigan, so sort of any of those other things. And again, Nemain appears to be one of those things where is it a person? Is it a historical figure? Is it a demigod? Why not all of those? And also combine it in this like super like boss babe club of the Morrigan.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this has been the pop culture Celtic pantheon. You were not bringing the energy.
I was not bringing the energy on that.
You were not bringing.
I'm still a little rocked by Morrigan. I'm over here trying to recover from the apparent disrespect for plurality. I guess that was the pop culture. I'm trying to think, like, if you were to like stop me on the street with a microphone, and I didn't immediately ignore you and walk away, which is the correct way to handle that situation to everybody out there who needs to be taught that. And were to ask me, like, what's the Celtic pantheon? Those are probably the ones that I would say.
Well, that's exactly what I was going for.
I can't think of anybody else that I would say. Like, I can't think of, like, you forgot about Tiny Tim or whoever.
Well, the thing is a lot of the sort of like pop culture Celtic pantheon thing, like who you would assume is in that, is kind of like based on your mileage may vary, basically.
Yeah, totally,
like,
totally.
Perhaps you're way
How
more
affected by the '60s is your understanding?
Or you're like way more
Ireland.
into like Arthurian legends.
Sure,
you might be like, where's so and so?
Yeah. Tarts with swords making whole ass empires.
Yeah.
We know how that turned out. Thank you, England. I think.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
But I think that it seems like most. Again, and we kind of said this at the beginning. Like, again, most are the Tuatha Dé Danann, and like a Gaelic, of like a Gaelic tradition. Yeah. But you do have like these other groups that are sort of like either wrapped in. I mean, I think everybody does the like synchronicity thing. Everybody does the like, oh man, you got this guy. I also got this guy. You're like, how does your guy got? And you're like, my guy's got 7 arms and legs and fingers and toes and eyes and shit, and you're like, oh, my guy's hot with cool hair, but...
And they're like, yeah, but does your guy have...
Same spider?
Have 7 fingers and hawk's claws for fingers? And they're like, oh,
they're like, he's real
absolutely.
young, but he's got old grandpa toenails and fingernails, and you're like, all right, well, I guess it's the same person, but... okay. Yeah, so be careful, spider hot guys, I guess. I guess spider hot guys would be the Spider-Man. So
yes, it would be hot spider guys, which would also be Spider-Man.
We're looking at you, Tom Holland, and other sundry spider people. So
giving you the eyes,
whatever. But yeah, no. I definitely can't think of like bonus Gallic gods.
Yeah,
Celtic gods or other sundry.
There are many.
I mean, no. I mean, like ones that I would consider like prime.
Oh, like the big
like
ones.
The big ones,
yeah.
Right? I feel like in kind of every grouping, you have the like outlier ones.
Yeah.
And like that's not hate. It's just that like. We're all sort of festooned with the knowledge about the Greek pantheon that we were taught by the Hercules movie from Disney. It's not super accurate, but it exists and has good music.
Or Clash of the Titans.
The new one is just
not the new one.
Worst.
The older
but the
Clash
original
of the
one
Titans.
is fire.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, did you know that Caliban from the original Clash of Titans movie, the guy who's like kind of like a monster,
yes,
does not really exist in the Greek mythos.
He's just a make believe.
They created him as like a plot device for the movie. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we couldn't afford enough claymation skeletons, so we had to make a whole asshole.
Yeah, basically. So,
it's like the oh my god, what we were just watching recently with bloody Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Conan.
Predator?
No, the Conan movies. Yeah, like all 47 of the Conan movies have been on TV as of late. So we've been watching those, and those always make me think about the like weird, specifically the Conan movies. And there's no hate because I genuinely love those Conan movies. And again, the new one is garbage. Don't watch it. Watch the originals with Arnie. But the like Arnie Conan movies, Got me on Predator now. The Arnie Conan movies really give me this, like, pause of, like, oh, yeah, we just made shit up, and now it's forever affected our ability to understand, like, ancient mythos. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
like,
I mean, that's one of the reasons
they're good
why.
Movies, no hate.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we talk about, like, if, you know, like with the Thor deep dive and the Loki deep dive, like, if your Thor and if your Loki is the like Marvel Thor and Loki,
if your Thor
like, there's
is
nothing wrong
Chris
with that.
Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth. Like, that's fine, dude. That's your Thor. I mean, that's not the way they described Thor anciently, and frankly, I love big alcohol abusing fat redhead Thor. But, like, whatevs, Clev, dude. Hemsworth seems
like he'd have a great time with the Dagda, that's for sure.
Yeah. Just a bunch of big old redhead guys getting shithoused.
Yeah.
I'm here for that, obviously.
Yeah. Drinking and eating out of cauldrons.
Yeah.
Just having a time.
So, but, yeah. I mean, this is the question I'm going to pose. Is there a...
Topical question
Celtic,
of the day.
Maybe. Is there a Celtic god of the various forms and functions that we didn't cover in this list? And if so, like, who is that person? Let us know. Just, like, comment below with all the deets, or whatever, to share with the community. Because, like, maybe we missed one, or maybe there's one that you're just like, oh, so-and-so is, like, mad popular, bro, and, like, less digits and eyes. So, way less creepy. And you're like, yeah, 100%. Okay, I get that. Bam. Put it on the list, right? I mean, honestly, like, Dagda, Morrigan, like, those are, like, the main ones that I'm thinking of, you know? But, like, what do you think, and if you work with these gods, is there, like, a bit that we missed, or that we sort of, like, kind of briefly covered, but, like, you're like, oh, like, it's crows, but it's, like, specifically westward flying crows at 2 o'clock in the morning or some shit. You know what I'm saying? You never know. A lot of specificity and shit. So, and I always like to know the specificity and shit. So, like, share with us what that is. Let us know what's going on. Like, with your practice, do you work with Celtic deity? I don't really work with Celtic deity, but I kind of love Celtic lore and Gallic lore, and I love studying, like, the Tuatha and like, you know, stuff like the Morrigan and the Dagda and such like that, especially as it translates into like pop culture and fantasy fiction. You know, like the Iron Druid Chronicles, which is a fantastic book series. Again, like, no judgment on accuracy to real worship and magical practice. It's just a fantastic series. If you have not read it, just pick up the first one and read that, listen to it on Audible or whatever, however you want to listen to an audiobook. It's fantastic. I think I've read through most of them. But I feel like Celtic deities, like, from the way that I perceive Celtic deities, like, in pop culture, is that, like, Celtic deities are one of those, like, like, you very rarely get, like, here's a story, Celtic deities. You often get, like, here's a story, those people over there are doing Celtic shit. Those people over there are doing Gallic shit. Right? Those people over there are worshiping the Morrigan or the Dagda or some shit like that. You know? Like, it's not super mainstream, but which is crazy because I feel like that shit was way more popular during the, like, Wiccan revolution of the 60s.
Absolutely.
And
in the 90s, there was a revival for it, too.
And I almost wonder if, like, it's become so mainstream. Like, I wonder if we will see this kind of, like building a bridge over, kind of ignoring, kind of not as much focus on in the future when we talk about Norse deities. Because I feel like every third thing that comes out got something to do with Vikings.
Yeah.
Right? And most of that shit is, like, as inaccurate as what's his name was with putting horns on helmets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that asshole single-handedly ruined Vikings for everybody.
I definitely think that we're kind of, like, in a renaissance for that sort of thing right now. And also, like, historically, we can see that. You know, we've talked in a variety of other episodes about, like, times when, like, Viking stuff or, like, Greek stuff got really popular, and I think that, like, there's cycles to it, and I think that eventually the whole, like, Viking craze is going to kind of like
peter
out. I mean, never entirely, right? But like something else will rise in its stead.
Sure.
And I think that we're going to get that. I don't know what that
what the
looks
next
like,
thing is gonna be.
you know, or what the next thing is going to be. Like, you could argue it's going to be Greek stuff coming back because of the new Percy Jackson show.
It could be. Certainly. It could certainly be. Right? I mean, they tried that with Shazam or whatever the hell those movies are called.
Yeah,
that did not
I
work
think
so
that
great.
a lot of it kind of has to do with, like, what is, like, hidden in pop culture.
Sure.
You know, because we're all, you know, at the same time as we see this like Viking rise, we're also seeing like superhero rise, which has really nothing to do with Vikings at all. But like they sort of happen at a similar time.
Yeah.
So there's always sort of like something old timey that's popular like that. Like, and we just got to kind of figure out what that is. Like we're due for like a Celtic revival. We're due for like an Egyptian revival.
We like kind of tried. We like almost got that with the Moon Knight show, and then it like didn't happen.
Well, it takes more than one show. It
takes
does. Like
it
a
totally,
lot of
it totally takes some
do.
movies and stuff, and there's just like nothing else in the I feel like when Moon Knight came out, it hit so fucking hard that like if there was like one or two movies that also involved like Raw and like shit like that, it would have been all Egyptian all day up in here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, but also, you know, it's kind of like whatever. It's more than just the movies.
What is
it's
Hollywood
also
gonna rehash?
It's also fashion. Fashion also has to be like very into it also.
Sure.
So like in the 1920s, there was like a huge boom in people being interested in Egyptian stuff, and there was some movies. I mean, obviously it was the 20s. We didn't have as many movies as we have like now.
I mean, we had a bunch of that.
But we had a bunch of movies. Like The Mummy was a huge movie. It changed a lot of things for people. They were discovering stuff about the Egyptians that we had never really discovered for, you know, like Tomb of Tutankhamun, but also fashion was like very hype on Egyptian stuff in the 1920s. And I know the 1920s is all about like flapper dresses that are shaped in a box, very not flattering on me. But like the Egyptian stuff was like hugely popular in fashion. So I think that what you really have to have is you have to have like fashion and like pop culture, like movies and TV shows kind of like coming together at like a peak, and that's kind of where you get it. And you also had that in like the 1960s with like the boom in like Greek stuff, and you have, you know, all of these sort of like Greek things that happened, and you did see some of that sort of ethereal fashion that's sort of translated better into like hippies and stuff like that, because the 1960s you have different pieces of fashion. But the thing about trending fashion is it's fragmenting so fast that you have to have something that's cohesive that like holds it together. You know,
well, I think like you just have to have something so profoundly simple that like everybody's like, yes, that doesn't look ridiculous. And let me tell you, high fashion, most of it utterly ridiculous. No hate. It's just that a lot of it, you're like, I mean, that's cool, but nobody's gonna wear a fucking balloon. What are you doing?
I think that whatever the new thing is, it has to hit fashion
to be profoundly
and
simple
pop culture
and profoundly acceptable, and it needs to correlate temporally with like some sort of media presence that like gets us all thinking like, oh shit, yeah, we haven't thought about like Zeus in a hot minute.
Yeah.
What's going on with that guy? Look at these sweet sandals that are hot right now, and like everybody's in at toga parties or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
You know, ain't nobody doing toga parties no more. I'm just saying, guys, get your shit together.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what that thing is, but
agree.
I am like very hype on checking it out.
Yeah.
We generally get like hyper into like the quote unquote Celtic side of things as Scottish Games approaches, which is in the like late summer, early fall for us. So yeah.
It's very interesting. That's the pop culture interpretation of the family tree of Celtic deities.
Yeah.
Mixed up with a bunch of stuff because, you know, everything's a big cauldron full of stuff. So mix in, right? Rock soup, as it were.
Bubbling.
Yeah.
Melding.
So with all of that having been talked about, next up we'll have another pub chat, right? It's back and forth, guys. We do a pub chat, then we do like a whole video, and then we do a pub chat. it's not that regular, but it's like nearly that regular, and it's getting more regular, so don't worry about it. And speaking of regular, because we're talking about regular awesomes, our patrons. I don't, man.
It worked. You had to just keep going.
We're talking about regular awesomes. Our patrons, Alan, Miranda, Helena, Alexa, and Summer. You guys are dope, and you keep us doing dope stuff and improving that dope stuff with dopeosity. I ran out of ways to say
Thank
dope.
you for helping us do what we do and better every time.
Yeah. And as for the stuff that we talked about today, all of the like sources and links and like the other podcast episodes that we talk about, like the Dagda deep dive and such like that, like Mabon and Imbolc and probably like the Lunasa one where we talk about Lunasa.
Yeah.
Those will all be like linked in the thing below. So we'll be able to get through that. And if you want like the full list, this was a bunch of lists. This is lists inside a listception, if you will. Those will all be available on the Book of Shadows page in our Patreon. It's all a big circle. But, yeah, so we'll catch you guys next time. I've been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This has been the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. And, stay magical, folks.
Yeah, and don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.